Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I am so happy. I can't believe this. I went out to buy me a couple of plants. I wanted to go out raiding the rack, and the garden centre where I went to buy some plants told me I'd won a plant. They told me I'd won a plant and I didn't even know. Apparently, they'd sent me a message on Facebook that I won a plant. And I won a plant because I've been posting lots of videos of the plants that I've been buying at their garden centre on their Instagram. And I will put the link to the Instagram below the video and also up here so you can see it quickly. It's a garden centre called Trädgårds Paletten in Malmö, Sweden. So if you're in Malmö, Sweden, get yourself over to Trädgårds Paletten and you will find yourself some amazing, amazing plants there, I'm telling you. They have huge old plants in their greenhouse there that are amazing if you love philodendrons or anything like that. Oh, big Dracaena sansevierias. Oh, so many beautiful things there. You will love it. And they have so many plants that you would just think were on display, but you can buy them. It's kind of like walking around a plant museum kind of nursery. It's a one-off place in the middle of Malmö, Trädgårds Paletten, fantastic place. I have bought so many of my plants there and the people that run it are just wonderful, family-run business, and I cannot stress enough that if you're in Malmö, Sweden, go to their garden centre. You will find yourself some amazing plants at amazing prices as well, I'm telling you, compared to many other places with rare or unique plants. Right, anyway, I couldn't believe that I'd won a plant around Christmas time, they said, and they'd messaged me that I won this plant and I never came to collect it. But I've been there a few times and bought plants since then, many times actually. Sometimes they've been there, sometimes they haven't, and haven't thought about it. But today when I was there and I was about to pay for the few plants that I bought, the man that runs the garden centre came up to the counter and put this plant in front of me and said, there you go, that's for you. You won that plant. And it was because of putting pictures on Instagram, and it's because I've been tagging Trädgårds Paletten in my photos on Instagram, and those photos go directly to Trädgårds Paletten's own Instagram, and then they can see the pictures and they get to see what happens to the plants that they sell and how people arrange them and all this kind of stuff, and they think it's absolutely great. It's a great promotion for them, and it's a great way for them to see what's going on with the plants and what kind of plants people buy and how they love and enjoy their plants. And I'm telling you, I love their plants. I couldn't believe it. This would actually not be a plant that I would go out and buy myself. This, I wouldn't really buy this. I like philodendrons and I like scindapsus and I like some of the many other type of aroid plants. And I'm really into Dracaena sansevierias at the moment. So when this was put in front of me, it was quite of a shock to my system. But I really like it. It's kind of like a cabbage on a stick. It's got this thick trunk, and I found out when I was washing it off and everything before I brought it into my indoor terrace garden that the leaves, if they snap off or anything like that, it gets this very thick, rubbery, gummy, you know, this white gummy stuff that comes out, and it sticks to your hands and your fingers, and it closes the pores on your fingers. So this is a kind of poisonous plant, I'm sure about that. So don't get this anywhere near your mouth or anything like that. It's going to close it all up. But what an interesting shape with this trunk that obviously collects moisture. So it's a plant that obviously can stay in drought conditions for a shorter period or so. And then it grows out new leaves from the crown at the top, as you can see here. And then it dispels the lower leaves as it grows up. So it becomes kind of like a palm with the stem growing up and then the leaves growing out. Although this is not a palm at all. It's a different kind of plant called Brighamia insignis. Now that is the scientific name for this plant, and well, commonly it's called Hawaiian Palm because of the shape. But it is a Brighamia insignis. And this plant is in the Campanulaceae family. So very interesting. First one of this kind of plant I've ever owned, and the first one of this kind of plant I have at all. I've never had any varieties of this plant, so it's very interesting and very new for me. So from what I've read about this plant, just to get some information on it, is that this plant comes from Hawaii, and that is where it originates from. So I have a real specimen from Hawaii, and also I've read that this plant is an endangered species out in the wild. It's very rare to see it anywhere out in the wild now. So I feel like I really need to take care of this beautiful plant that was given to me, that's an endangered species. And how is it in my indoor terrace garden here in Sweden right now as a gift, out of the blue, making me just feel so alive and so happy, and my energy is just woo, out of the roof. How could I not be happy? Better get back to the information. Anyway, oh, don't want to knock it over now. Just can't believe I want a plant and I didn't know. Yes, what was I saying? Yes, so it can take kind of drought conditions. It grows a long, thick stem, so it holds moisture in it, kind of succulent type, but the leaves aren't very succulent type in the top at all. Grows as a rosette, grows up and out. This plant, the very interesting thing about this plant is that it has a very different kind of cycle than most of your house plants or any plants, really. And that is, it has its growing season during the winter months, and it is dormant during the summer months. So this plant has finished around about its growing season and is going to be going into its dormant period soon. So I hope that doesn't mean that all the leaves are going to fall off or something like that. It's just going to look like a stick. I hope it's going to keep its leaves on top. But this plant, during October and November, produces beautiful small yellow flowers on it. So it does flower. So I'm going to have to wait now until the winter this year to see if this produces some lovely yellow flowers for me. Let's see how it does. Now, this plant does not like to be in bright light, and I mean bright direct light at all. Just like so many of your other houseplants, most of your houseplants do not like bright direct light. They're just going to burn, brown, frazzle up, just not be happy. So this likes bright, indirect light, and then it's going to be a very happy plant. So you can keep it in a window where it's not going to get any bright sunshine, but it's going to get, you know, lovely bright light or a little bit back. So bright light to half shade, but not too shady if you want to keep this plant happy. And you can see that these lovely green lush leaves, they do need a brighter light to keep them happy. So that is basically about all I have. I can see in the soil here, it has a mixture of a potting mix and a lot of perlite in the soil. So, some basic care information about this plant. Keep it watered regularly, so it's moist, but definitely not over moist, and definitely not soaking or sitting in water because the roots will probably rot. You can see this stem can hold moisture. So just keep it moist because these leaves do need moisture. You can fertilize your plant while it's growing once a month maybe, not too much, but once a month to keep it happy in the soil it's in. Semi-shade to bright indirect light, never bright light that is direct from the sun or any other thing that is going to be too bright on the plant too close because it will burn its leaves. You can repot your plant every other year or so. Just watch the growth and see the habit of the plant. If it's happy and it's growing faster, then you'll need to repot it, you know, maybe quicker than that. But every other year or so should be fine for it. This plant is toxic for animals and for you, so please be careful with the gummy that comes out of it. Don't let your animals bite into it because it will close the pores and the mouth and the tongue and everything. I've just figured that out with my fingers myself before I even read anything. So be careful about that. Another thing that's very important about this plant is it will get stressed very easily if you move it around too much. So now, I've just brought this home from the garden centre because it was a gift for me. Now it's in a completely new environment. I've just put it in its nursery pot in this cover pot here with this height to give it this extension because it just looks very nice like that, I think. And I'm just hoping that it's not going to drop all its leaves now. But if that happens, don't worry, the plant will probably have a little bit of a readjusting period, dormant period, and then it will flush out new leaves. So it looks beautiful right now. I just hope it's going to stay like this. If it starts dropping leaves, I know it's because it is stressed and it needs to reorganize itself, and then it will flush out again. So don't worry about that too much. But really, if you have this in your home, find a spot for the plant, and if the plant is happy there, leave the plant alone. Let the plant stay there. Don't move it all around different places and so forth, because it will drop its leaves. Anyway, I think it's about time I bring it in so you can get a closer look. So there we go. There's my beautiful new Brighamia insignis, a plant that I never knew I was going to have in my collection. It was given to me as a gift. I won a competition that I really didn't know that I was in for sure. I mean, I just saw that they had signs up around in the nursery saying, post your pictures to Instagram and we will pick out a winner at some point. And I was just like, well, I post them and I tag anyway, so that's just normal, I do that. But apparently I've been the one who's been doing it the most and the one who's bought the most amount of plants. Because the guy said to me, it's also because you've bought a lot of lovely and expensive plants here. I can't help myself, I love their plants. Trädgårds, Paletten, Malmö. So look at this beautiful plant. Look at all those leaves. Look at all those leaves. They're just lovely and green, and I can't help myself. I just think it looks like a cabbage or a Brussels sprouts plant, and I'm just expecting all the Brussels sprouts to grow out along the stem here on this plant. But it's lovely. Who could not be happy when you get a gift plant out of the blue in your garden centre? So I had to make a whole video about this plant because of that. Oh, so as you can hear, there's going to be a Raid in the Rack video coming up, but I haven't got time to put it all in one video now. So I better stop fussing around with this plant and shaking it around and moving it around and doing all the things I am. I've washed it off and everything. I need to find a spot for it and then leave it alone and cross my fingers that all its leaves don't just fall off with stress and I can keep it happy. Because I am so happy that I got this. And we'll see. This could be a new love of mine. This kind of plant. That is so nice. Anyway, everybody, thank you very much for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, once again. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.